Hello, hello. What's going on, everybody? We in the building this evening. This is Flamingo Fred, the Bird of Paradise podcast. We have a very special guest today. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, hi, my name is Jeanne Mae.
Jeanne Mae, nice to have you. Nice to have you. We've been setting this interview up for a while.
Yeah, and it finally happened.
Yeah, it finally happened. So that's why if you guys catch us here, we're a little bit on the late night. I think we kind of both forgot about it and it got put on the calendar.
God made it happen.
Yeah, isn't it crazy? I'm trying to be more organized, but I got a couple different calendars now.
Oh my gosh, I would be completely lost without my calendars.
And I got one calendar for this, one calendar for that, and this is on my outside calendar. So, but it still happened. I'm glad you messaged me, and I appreciate it because you helped put this together.
Absolutely. I appreciate you being here.
Yeah, no doubt.
Thanks for
So,
having me.
go ahead and tell us. I know you're big into modeling. I've seen your page. You're modeling. You're doing that whole thing. I'm sure there's so much that goes into that, but how is that going for you, and what brought you into modeling?
Yeah, so it's been going wonderfully. God definitely gave me a platform to utilize. As many people in Klamath County already know, I've been modeling for 15 years. I'm pretty sure I'm the only internationally published model, even in Southern Oregon, so that's a huge blessing. But I got picked up when I was 14 by IMD out of Medford.
Mm-hmm.
And they put me through all the courses, everything. I didn't have to pay for anything. And I've had a lot of people reach out to me and just ask if that's common. Typically, they ask you to pay for like all your own coaching and everything. But as soon as they saw me, I mean, I'm super tall, slender. So they were like, we need you. And so they paid for all my courses and everything. My foster family put me through IMD, put me through all the trainings. And then from there, it just kind of skyrocketed. I got picked up for castings. I got picked up for fashion shows. I went through the whole fashion industry. I was fortunate enough to walk in many different fashion shows and travel all over with that. And then I took it from fashion modeling to tattoo modeling. I'm completely covered in tattoos. I know it doesn't look like it, but I have my whole back done. I have a whole leg sleeve, a whole arm sleeve. You name it, I have it. And then I went from tattoo modeling to just advertisement modeling to automotive modeling to magazine modeling, you name it. I've probably done it. Everything except for nude, obviously. But yeah, it's been a long journey, and I'm very fortunate that I've been able to utilize all the skills that I was given to be able to open my business Mae and help other people less fortunate to get picked up from agencies, kind of give them the skill sets they need and put them in front of those people to get picked up and be successful with it down the road too.
Most definitely. Was it a hard decision for you to make when you were thinking about like getting tatted up and modeling? Like, was that hard, or is like, I'm gonna make it work my way? Or, what do you think about that?
It wasn't hard at all. It was, I've always loved tattoos. I've always thought they were beautiful. My dad always was tatted. He was a biker. And so it's always intrigued me to have tattoos. When I was a fashion model, they told me I absolutely could not have any tattoos. And I was like, watch this. And so I went and got tatted. And then I ended up getting kicked out of the fashion industry because I got tatted. And then here I am, circle 10 years later. And they were like, hey, actually, we're now accepting models with tattoos. And I was like, oh, look at that. So no, it never hindered my career modeling at all.
Do you think like, I feel like I'm an artist, I make music, do a lot of different things, but I feel like with modeling, is there a lot of room for you to make your own rules, especially with the technology that we have now?
Yes and no. It kind of depends on if you actually want to take it big, like bigger than yourself. There's a lot of like Instagram models or, just
Yeah, I
girls
was
that are
gonna. Uh-huh.
absolutely beautiful, and they want to do things their own way, which is fine. But the reality is, if you want to be successful at it, I mean, there is definitely a mold that you have to kind of fit in and guidelines that you have to follow.
Yeah, most definitely. Because I was gonna touch on that too. Because like of course we have social media, and there's Instagram models, Facebook model, or whatever you want to say. And I mean, they're posting selfies, they're posting this, and they're posting that. And then, I mean, I to myself thought like, if you're gonna post pictures all day, every day, you might as well model or promote or do something or get paid for it.
Right. Yeah. And a lot of those girls and guys, it really just comes from like they just want to be valued, they just want to be seen, and they don't realize what they're worth. And so that's actually kind of why I started maybe in the first place, was because my whole vision is to help people realize their value and realize their worth.
Hmm.
Because I was one of those really insecure girls at one point in my life too, where I just wanted to be seen and I wanted people to give me attention, and then it grew into something way bigger than I could ever dream of. So,
Yeah, I mean, different strokes for, I mean, I'm on social media, so I do different things, and I'm reach out to the people, we joke, we have fun and do different things. I'm an artist, so that kind of comes with it. But I feel like sometimes if I wasn't into some of the stuff that I do, I'd kind of turn into like a recluse. And I'm a very sociable person, but it'd be like, to me, what's the point for social media and a lot of stuff to be seen? You know what I mean?
right,
And
right.
I feel like some people, I see them on social media, and I mean, I'm nobody's boss, but I'm like, you dedicate a lot of time to this. What is your goal in being, on social media all day?
A lot of people don't think about that though. They don't think about the end goal. They don't think about like the strategy behind it. And they definitely don't think about like long term how it's going to affect them. I used to be a big social media influencer, and I deleted all my social media last year. And I was
Mm,
just like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, I don't want to be, Jeannie Mae, that tattoo model. I just want to be Jeannie. I'm a single mom. I have my company. I absolutely love my life. God's given me a beautiful life. And I don't want to be known for, TikTok dances or how pretty I am. I want to be known for my heart and my purpose.
and that's where I'm at with a lot of stuff too, because we're such in an age where it's like a gain followers, gain followers, gain followers, and do this, then this and that. And I thought to myself, like, if I want to do something, of course I joke around, I play, I do different stuff, but if I want to do something, I want to do something that has a purpose. I'm not gonna just be doing a TikTok dance unless I want to. I'm not gonna just be doing dances or doing whatever else just to do it. I want to have some purpose into what I'm doing, because if not, I don't want to do it.
Right, right. And there's a lot of positive that comes from social media, but there's also a lot of negative. And I think lately, especially in today's day and age, there's a lot more negative than there is anything else. I will say it did create a platform for me to be able to share my voice and be able to help me, spread my light in the world. I fully believe, my purpose in life is to help fight for those that can't fight for themselves, and just be a voice for the voiceless and help empower people all over the world to break the typical barriers that's set for them and overcome challenges that they're faced with confidence. And like I
Hmm.
said earlier, know your worth and know your value doing that. And so I will say social media helped give me that platform to be able to do that, and it helped expose me more and help me get more clients and contracts and things like that. But it also brought a lot of insecurity issues and a lot of doubt and a lot of just negative input that I never would have even realized was out there until I put myself in a position to be judged so critically.
Hmm.
And I think, unfortunately, that happens more and more often as people get lost in the cycle of, trying to gain followers, trying to get that instant gratification, and they just lose themselves in it. And it's really sad to see.
Yeah, do you feel like it was a huge battle for you, being on social media? I mean, you said the positives, but do you feel like it was just a battle a lot of times?
Yes, absolutely. Especially as a single mom, especially as, a believer in Christ and someone that's very faith based. It was a huge contradiction for me because on one side, I'm getting paid to do, lingerie modeling and tattoo modeling. And then on the other side, I'm going to church on Sunday and singing in front of my choir. And it's like, it's really hard to be someone for other people, be who they want you to be, but then also still have your values and your morals at the end of the day.
Yeah, no, most definitely. I mean, I feel like for me, I've always been a social person. I've always been in different areas, different states, different places. I mean, I think one of the things that helped me versus a lot of people that were on social media, like I've gone and been in the mix, like in real life, among people and social, and do this. Like, some people are only social on social media, so for me, I'm like, the social media is like, the stuff I do on social media, I do in real life.
I'm the same way. Yeah. So when people are like, "Oh, I kind of thought you were like stuck up or quiet," I'm like, "Nope, this is me."
Yeah, the same jokes and stuff. I mean, I'm even more in real life, so I do it in real life. So for me, it's not really a struggle. And anytime somebody had something negative to say on social media. Before I used to kind of just shut them down, but now I'm just like, for the most part, hey, you have a great day,
Yeah.
you
You're
know.
a lot stronger than I am because I definitely took it personal and I was like, "Oh man, what am I doing so wrong? Why do these people hate me?" But at the end of the day, I mean, everyone's entitled to their own opinion, and I have to realize, just because that one person has something negative to say about me doesn't mean that like their perception of me is my title, or that doesn't mean that's who I am.
People are always gonna, when you're putting yourself into a public space for people to see you, for people to do this and that, somebody's always gonna have something to say, and it's one of those things, and it's just like where it's coming from. People said, "Oh, you're dressing different for attention. You're doing this and you're doing that." I mean, these people like go. You got to have something else better to do.
Right.
And I know we all like to joke, and it's easy to poke fun at people that you see in social media videos and joke and kind of keep it lighthearted and do things. But there are some people that I feel like are really mad at home and wondering why you're modeling and wondering why this, and that. But people don't understand the work that goes into this. Like, us having this interview now, you probably been working all day. I've been working all day, and I'm like, yeah, I could have said, "Oh, can we reschedule?" Nope. Right here in the office doing this interview now at this time of
That's
night.
You got to. If you have goals to achieve and visions to make happen, I mean, you got to, right? Like, I'm sure that show you just put on took a lot of behind the scenes effort, like booking the
Oh,
venue, finding the talent, like getting all the advertisement out there, making the videos. Like, there's so much work that goes into making your vision a reality. Everyone sees the lifestyle I'm living now, but they don't see the work I've been putting in for the past 15 years. They don't see the dreams that I had as a little girl. They don't see my vision board in my office that I look at every single day and like motivates me. They don't see, all the struggles I faced as a child. All they see is this girl with this perfect life. And I'm like, no, it's so much more than that. There's so much work that went into this.
you know what people's favorite, and I mean, I'm kind of hearing it a little bit now because I'm doing this to that, but people like to hit you with the "must be nice."
Hmm.
Like you just waltzed into this stuff, and you just, what I mean, and it just all came to you, and it was just no hard work of your own.
One of my really good friends actually just created a clothing brand, Must Be Nice, because he owns SEMA trucks and he builds all these different vehicles, and he has a really good head on his shoulders and just handles himself very well. And we were at a show together one time, and he was like, "Dude, how do you handle all the haters? Like, how do you live this life?" And I'm like, "Screw the haters, man. Like, if God put it on your heart, make it happen, because He gave you that dream for a reason." And so he came out with this clothing brand, and he's like, "I've always wanted to drop something. I just didn't know what to do." And so he dropped it and was like, "Must be nice." And I was like, "Dude, that's perfect." And it's
Yeah.
just for the haters that are constantly like, "Oh, must be nice to have a SEMA truck. Oh, must be nice to do this." Like, no, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of hard work. It's a lot of effort.
Yeah, no, most definitely. Like I remember being a kid, and my dad used to be like, "Haters, haters, haters," and I used to be like, "Man, like it can't be that many haters in the world." And it's like when you come of age and you start making stuff happen, like I'm not saying everybody is a blatant hater, but it's kind of like you versus the world. You know what I mean? Like, people smile, people this and that, and it's just like it's kind of you versus everybody to make the stuff that you want to happen. And along the way, there's many times that you could have given up. And I mean, I've just been so having so much gratitude and just being thankful for stuff throughout the day and looking back at the journey that I've had and the growth. And I'm just like, it's kind of scary because it's like, damn, how did I make all this happen? Like I was, man, up against the wall, and I came out, and I'm just making stuff happen.
Fight or flight. But if you don't have haters, you're not doing something right. Right. So
Yeah.
everyone that's ever hated me along the way, and trust me, I have plenty, but they've always motivated me, and it's always been like I'm going to prove them wrong, and it's just pushed me to be that much better. It's pushed me to show up even more the next day, and so I'm actually more thankful for my haters than I am anything else, because if it wasn't for them, I don't think I would have came out swinging.
Yeah, most definitely. And sometimes, I've been in situations where I wonder, was like this person, like a higher power strategically put this person here to push me to the next level. And almost when you think of stuff like that, you kind of thankful for that person. Like you said, like you're like, man, you know what? I'm glad you acted that way, because that gave me the motivation to turn it up a notch, because if I didn't have that, that opposition, I probably would just kind of relaxed.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, at the end of the day, hurt people, right? So it's nothing that you're specifically doing. It's just they're so bitter in their own life that they have to make someone else bitter too.
Yeah, and it's, what could you do about that, Have
And
you have
that's
you done much acting with your modeling?
I've done a couple commercials for I was with Renegade Products for quite a while, which is like a cleaning product for automotive. Also, they had a whole detailing line and everything else until I came out with my own detailing line. But I did a lot of advertisement for them and commercials for them. And then I did like some makeup commercials. I filmed a couple commercials for like cars. I was in a
Mhm.
commercial for Streamline Luggage. I've never done like movies or anything like that. I've had no interest in doing that.
Why
Um,
why do you think that is?
I just, I'm one of those people that like gets an idea in my head and I just want to jump at it and I get so excited for it, but then I get burnt out so fast and I'm looking for the next thing. And I feel like dedicating myself to like a movie or a TV show would just be too continual for me. Like I need like quick, fast paced, constant changing scenery. I can't be in the same place for too long or I get bored and doled out. So, yeah, I've just never had any interest in that. Maybe one day, but not today.
Yeah, I've grown. Like I've been doing, like I'm working on a film right now, and I did a short film which was cool, and I'm working on one coming up now. I shot a couple scenes for, and I gotta shoot a couple more in a couple of weeks. But yeah, I kind of get what you mean, because like this film is kind of like dragging on some, and I don't know how much filming I'm gonna have to do for it. I kind of want to just get it done and over with, but I felt like acting and filming is kind of fun, because it just like, for me, it puts you in a position to like, you know, be this character, or even this, if it's some of your character, just kind of like go overboard with it.
Right. That's the whole reason I got involved in modeling in the first place is because my home life was so awful. I wanted to just be anybody else. I wanted to escape reality and just, live in this alternate persona for a little bit. And when I was given the opportunity to model, I did just that. And that's why I became so successful at it because I adapted that whole character essentially to capture that perfect photo. And with that, I did little commercials here and there, like I said. But yeah, I don't think I could commit to a full movie or a full TV show. So hats off to you because that's a lot of work.
Hey, I did a short film, and we were shooting out in the sun, and it wasn't even extended filming. It was like, I think we did it in a day. And to be honest with you, it was hot that day. And I was like, we were doing like, they had like some fake blood and this, and that. And to be honest with you, like by the time the day was over, I'm like, I'm over this. Like it was just like, so I can only imagine like shooting Mission Impossible movies or something like that out in the middle of the ocean or whatever they're doing. Like that's hectic.
Yeah, no, thank you. I think the longest I've ever had to do a photo shoot or fashion show for was like 8 hours. And at the end of it, I was just dead. I was like, don't talk to me, don't call me, don't look at me. I'm going to go take a bath.
Yeah, like I've shot music videos and any type of filming, and you're doing take after take after take after take. And it's like people don't understand like the work that goes into that. And by the time you do it all, you're like, man, I'm over this. I'm done. It's working. I'm sure the same goes, like you said, for shoots and stuff like that. Like people just don't understand sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, it's mentally draining, physically exhausting, but emotionally, it takes a toll on you, especially having to like check into that character every single time they say, okay, action. And you're like, okay, shoot, what was I doing again? And then, if you step one place out of place, especially in a music video, it's like, okay, all right, we have to start all over again. So, yeah, there's a lot that goes into it. There's a lot of just mental preparation for it. And I take all my photo shoots super serious. Every one of the girls I'm coaching, they can tell you show up an hour early, make sure you're prepared, have extra outfits, have everything you need. I have these little go bags for all my models. I take it very serious and yeah, I couldn't commit to a full movie. That's way too much.
Most definitely. I feel like the modeling will always be something that's up there, but I mean, do you look at things now to like maybe say you look back at like maybe the 60s or the 70s, and do you see a huge difference like in the modeling and stuff? Because I feel like it was even bigger then.
I definitely do. I feel like it was bigger then because there was like this mystery behind like the women, and like it was just a lot more simple and beautiful and a lot more creative. Um,
Hmm.
Now it's not as artistic, and unfortunately, it's just super hyper sexualized, and people think, that they just want to see you with your clothes off, and so that they can go pose, naked, or they can go pose half naked, or like throw all the values and morals out the window. And as long as, skin is showing, it doesn't matter what the picture shows. And unfortunately, it makes it really hard for the rest of us models that actually find it very artistic and find it beautiful to model, because it doesn't matter how beautiful you are, you know looking at you or looking at a picture. It's capturing the energy in the photo. It's capturing, the image in someone's head. It's making that like a visual, making it come to life. And you really need the right like photographer. You really need the right model, the right presence. And a lot of girls just think they can go out there half naked and strut their stuff and just stand there and pose and take a picture, but it's so much more than that.
You know what? And I'm gonna give for any ladies listening. I'm sure that any men listening. Shout out to everybody that's tuned in right now. Share this post if you can. I'm gonna share my opinion as a man. Um, and hopefully ladies can take this advice if they're listening. And men, maybe they can agree with me. Maybe they're not. Of course, men we see, and a lot of people are visual creatures. You see that, but you know what's attractive, because there's so much different stuff on social media. Like, what's attractive it's not the nudity at this point. You know what I mean? It's not a woman just being naked. Like, you know, as you mature as a man, like, yeah, when you're coming of age, that's going to catch your attention. But when you mature as a man, like, that's not as attractive anymore. Like, it starts to look, to be honest with you, super lame. You know what I mean? And there is, I feel like for most men, there's a time and place for that. But most men, when that's not the person they want to be with, or that's not the person, you know what I mean? Really, what's really attractive is the woman that has some class and that's well put together, that's taking care of her family, that's doing this, and that. Like, that's the real woman that's attractive. Like, yeah, this woman here, she's doing this and that, but it's, especially now on the social media, it's like it's just getting played out. Of course, as a man or whoever, it's going to catch your attention first off, but when you really dissect it, it's like it's played out. There used to be a time and a place for that. You know what I mean? There used to be a time and a place for that. Now it's everywhere.
Exactly. And there's no mystery behind it anymore. Like, I don't want to go on a date with a guy sitting across, a coffee table trying to get to know him, and all he wants to talk about is how many followers he has on TikTok, or, showing me pictures of him shirtless. Like, I don't care. I want to know who you are. I want to know what makes you you, and like your goals and your passions. And nowadays it's just like everyone's just, again, that instant gratification, and they're like, oh well, this is what I look like naked. Do you want to, like, you want to get there? And you're just like, no, I don't. Like, I want to get to know who you are. Like, that's what I'm attracted to, is what's inside of you, who, like, your heart, who you are as a person, not just how you look on the outside. And it's honestly disgusting to me when I like meet people, because I mean, I get flooded with DMs all the time from just guys, looking for that. But um it's honestly just kind of disgusting to me when you can look at someone's profile and it's just like shirtless pic after shirtless pic after shirtless pic, and it's like, how shallow can you be? Like, I want to get to know you. I want to see who you are, not just what your body has to offer, because that's only going to last so long, but your heart and your soul is going to last you forever.
No, most definitely. And I mean, if you see a woman online, and you looking at a potential partner, a potential mate, or however you want to say it, like, you know, we're a representation of each other. You're a representation of me. Like, is this the person? Is this the woman that I want to be tied to? And you all on the internet looking for any types of attention? Like, nah, not really. Not when you're making certain types of moves. You don't want to, you know what I mean? Not when you're making certain types of moves. No, you want to be tied to something with class. And like you said, we live in a society now where there's instant gratification. But I'm almost of the belief, with all the technology we have, with all the instant gratification and social media and stuff like that, I'm almost willing to bet people are struggling more with mental health now than before we had this. I would think so. Like, I remember the time I didn't have a cell phone. Like, we used to write notes and pass notes back, and there was some passion and some some build
Yeah.
up, when you were a kid and passing notes. And I used to have a girl that liked me, and we was exchanging letters for extended lengths of time, writing back and forth, and she putting stickers on them and stuff. So, I think with this instant gratification, people have gotten away from, a lot of things that, can add to it.
Not just that, but it's also like you I mean, I can't speak on you, but I don't want someone that's easily accessible for everybody. I want someone that's exclusive. I want someone that's I know is just for me. That's my ride or die. Like, we all had those crushes back in middle school or whatever, where, it was like everyone knew you guys were a thing, and it was like you guys were a thing, and you were just so excited to see them in the hallways or whatever it may be. And now it's like, oh, he's not texting me back. I'm gonna go get attention from this other guy while I'm waiting, or oh, I'm gonna go post a picture and see who likes it, and then I'm gonna slide in their DMs. And it's honestly just we've lost ourselves so much in social media and so much in that dopamine effect that we get every time someone likes our picture or someone comments on our picture. It makes us feel like a flush, a rush of feelings and just excitement. But then at the end of the day, like you're still laying in bed by yourself, like you're still sitting there scrolling hours on social media looking for that next thing or that next idea to try to get you more likes or more follows. And at the end of the day, like that's not what it's about. Like it's just about having that one person that you can, no matter what shitstorm of a life you're going through, have that one person that's by your side no matter what. And that's what we're all looking for at the end of the day.
Most definitely. And that's why, I've liked to have events and do different stuff because, I like the 60s culture. I like the 70s culture. Like there was a time where you put on a nice outfit and you went somewhere and you listened to music and you danced and you talked and you went and socialized and enjoy, each other's company. And back to the mental health, no matter how much, social media you have and all these likes and different things, like none of this can be the same as, equal to human contact. None of this is equal to human contact. As much as people are antisocial and, on the internet and have these devices, none of this is equal to human contact. And that's why, I like events and music and going out and talking to people because that's something I like, or going to the movies or doing this. And I think, we have got away from that because, you could just watch the new movie at home online, which is nice sometimes, but not all the time,
Right. Right.
so
I think another big thing talking about mental health is not that I'm a professional or anything by any means, but a lot of us aren't like emotionally aware of ourselves anymore. Like we just seek for other people to tell us what's wrong with us, or we just seek for, something to get us excited and just make us forget about, that situation that we just went through. A lot of us are so afraid of our own emotions that we don't know how to be alone and know how to like be present in that emotion. And so we're constantly jumping from relationship to relationship or sexual partner to sexual partner or whatever it may be because we don't know how to address it ourselves. I think it just scares a lot of people because they don't want to look in the mirror and be like, oh, I have some stuff to work on. Um, which I get. No one wants to accept that they they have problems or anything's wrong with them. But at the end of the day, I think if we just spent a little bit more time with ourselves and out in nature, not inside watching TV all the time or inside on our
mhm.
phones all the time or creating TikTok dances, I think you'd actually be amazed at just how happy you could actually be.
No, most definitely. I think my mother always has a saying. My mother has a bunch of sayings, but my mother always says, no matter where you go, you're gonna take you with you. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? No matter what new partner, no matter what new this, and that, you're going along with you. And I see that a lot. People are never, and I say this, and this is not to put it on ladies, but I feel like a lot of times, a lot of women can get a man easier than most men can get a woman. Depending on the man, depending on the woman, but a lot of times, a woman's DMs will be flooded and this, and that. So a lot of times, I feel like people are put in a position where they never really had to spend any time alone. You know what I mean? They never had the time to just spend by themselves. And I've seen this where, they never had to deal with themselves one on one, you
Hmm.
know, and some people don't have the skill set. I know dealing with myself and maturing, you looking at yourself, I look at myself all day long and, why do I feel like this? And why did I think that? And why don't I like that? I dissect myself all day long, and I feel like some people don't have that skill set, and we all have different strengths. But I feel like just some people don't have that.
Right. And it's honestly astonishing to me because we have literally, resources at our fingertips that we can use to help us understand ourselves better and help us kind of work with things and cope with things better. And instead, we spend all of our resources on Facebook, on Instagram, on social media. Like, it's just so surprising to me that people aren't spending more time actually looking in the mirror and trying to dissect. For me, it was I had a long relationship that failed, and then I had another relationship that failed, and I was like, why is this a trend? Like, what is going on here? Is it me? And then I like started looking at my habits and like all of this stuff, and then I looked at attachment, relationship attachments and different emotions and things that caused it, and like obviously childhood trauma is a big part of that, but I looked at like trauma bonding and all that stuff. And I took the time to learn about it and to focus on it. And then I went and got a therapist to help me like figure out what I couldn't figure out. And it just honestly baffles me when I try to have conversations about stuff like this with friends because I'm always that person that people go to for advice. I'm like, you could literally do the same thing I did and just look on social or not on social media, look online and figure out what's going on inside your own head and like make sense of it instead of just spending all this hours scrolling through TikTok and watching people dance. like just spend the time to invest in yourself so that you could show up as your best self tomorrow.
Well, that I feel like it goes to like self-esteem and accountability and whatever else. And s- sometimes you have to start with the person in the mirror and be like, there's a couple things I could have done different, and this, that, and the third. And I just feel like some people don't have that. And it's not to place myself above everybody. I mean, I don't have all the answers, and things like that. But I think, some people don't have that skill set. And I also think, in this world, there's leaders and there's people that are not leaders, and to be a leader, people think, being a leader is not just telling people what to do. Being a leader is, putting that self work in and going through and jumping through these hoops that other people weren't able to go jump through, and doing different things and doing self work other people weren't able to do, and taking it to another level,
Hmm.
because not everybody's built like that. People have all kinds of different strengths, and sometimes, as hard as it is, we kind of have to grow to accept people for who they are. I think is the biggest thing, and I know we all struggle with that, and I know a lot of people struggle with that and are unforgiving. But it comes to a point you gotta kind of gotta accept that's who this person is, I feel.
Absolutely, absolutely. And to expand on that a little bit, I mean, we're all beautifully and wonderfully made. We're all uniquely independent. We're all our own person, right? And just because, God made me different than you doesn't mean that I'm any better or any less than you. I have my own strengths, I have my own weaknesses, just like you do. And I think that there's always an opportunity for us to develop ourselves and kind of become better. Um, but I do definitely agree that some people are leaders, some people are not. Some people are managers being like they can analyze all the numbers, they can tell you what to do and how to do it, but they couldn't actually get you there themselves. They can just tell you how to do it. And so I think that there's a lot of different types of people that you're going to encounter throughout your life. And like you said, it's just kind of recognizing, hey, this person's that way for a reason. That's who they are, and that's totally okay. But at the end of the day, like you have to be able to look in the mirror and not just see your weakness, not just see your flaws. And that's hard. That's definitely hard. I'm almost 30 and I still see my weaknesses every every time I look in the mirror. But I also see my strengths now too. And I'm when I look in the mirror, I'm not just like, oh my gosh, you're a failure. I'm like, okay, well, this is what we need to work on today. Like as much as you hear about it, positive daily affirmations is a real thing. And I highly encourage everyone to at least write something positive on their mirror or something. If you're struggling with self image issues, if you're struggling with that, self of insecurity or just seeing that weakness every time you look in the mirror, write something positive because it'll stick with you every single day. And then you'll start seeing the beauty in yourself.
Yeah, one of the things people have to learn, and I mean, people have to learn whatever they think, but let me reword it because I hate to put it on like I know all the information or not. But one of the important things I felt like I learned was self-talk. And a lot of people aren't taught some of these skills growing up. sometimes your parents don't come to you and teach you about self-talk. um, there's a study that I looked at a long time ago, and it's like you have so many negative thoughts throughout the day, and there was a lot, but you have to be able to tell yourself positive things, and talk to yourself. I'm not saying be delusional and say you're the best, tell yourself you're the best human that ever lived, but you got to be able to hype yourself up and talk to yourself, and you got this, and push yourself along, and you could do it, and whatever it takes. And on top of that, I feel like there's a lot of different forms of intelligence. All the different forms of intelligence, I'm not sure. There's some people, they call them book smart, but there's some people that can remember all the trivia questions. There's some people that are empaths, and there's so many different forms of intelligence. And I think it's up to you to learn what yours are, and you know bring those out and work, and bring it out and work on it.
With positive self-talk, I will say one of the best things I've ever done for myself was start journaling.
Mm.
Because as all of those negative thoughts were coming through my head, I would write them down. And then at the end of the day, I'd like look back at my journal and be like, oh, that's funny. I can't believe I thought that. And I just made a daily habit of it. Every morning, I would journal how I felt that morning. If I would woke up on the wrong side of the bed, I would journal about it. If I was super happy, something made me really excited, I'd journal about it. And then it just became a routine habit. And then it was like, it would come in my mind, I would journal about it, and then I didn't worry about it for the rest of the day. And I was able to go out that day and do whatever I was presented with that day, and not worry about whatever that little thought was in the back of my head. So definitely learning yourself, like you said, learning yourself, figuring out what works for you, what doesn't is huge. Some people, they're really creative and they want to do art, and that helps them process their emotions or their feelings. Some people write music, some people journal like me, some people read. I mean, whatever works for you, just figure it out and just do it.
No, most definitely. And I mean, it's a journey, because I mean, where I'm forever learning. And I went through a situation recently, and it just made me feel like a bunch of weird emotions. And I'm like, and you kind of have to dissect and break it down, like, why am I feeling this way? And what am I feeling? I'm not necessarily sad, but I'm not happy. Like, why am I feeling this way? And you have to really break that down. And I remember being at different phases in life. Like, I don't think I always had that ability, to be able to dissect things like that, and fall back and reflect, and stuff like that. And it's something you learn, like, why am I feeling like this? Like, it's almost like, out of your control.
Yes. For me, it was, I would cope with drinking.
Mhm.
And I like had all this pain and anger built up, and I would just drink, and I would, ignore it and just travel and live my best life, so to speak. And it wasn't until I started lashing out at people closest to me, and I started just being just a really mean person every time I drank. And I was like, what is going on? Why am I like this? Like, I like to think of myself as a very kind person and very nice and helpful person. But every time I drank, I would show my ass, so to speak, and I would just be a complete jerk to everyone that was close to me. And I was like, why am I being like this? And so it took that process, like you're talking about, of like, okay, why am I feeling like this? What is going on? But it wasn't until like recently, like within the last 2 years, that I was able to actually do that. And I think a lot of it just comes with, maturing, and then that emotional intelligence, as we are talking about, and just being aware of like who you are as a person, and like what's going on in your habits, and like what's making you feel that way. Um, Awareness is definitely a big thing. But yeah, for me, it was just lashing out at people closest to me. And then I was like, okay, I don't like who I am when I drink. What is going on? And then it just took a process of trying to figure out what was going on, and being completely honest with myself, which was really hard. And so I don't drink anymore to this day. And I'm, actively going to therapy. And I'm just, every time I have one of those like painful moments where I'm just completely raw and I'm dissecting how I feel, I just allow myself to be in that emotion and be present with myself, and like allow myself to feel it, because as quick as that emotion comes on, it leaves just as fast. And so instead of being afraid of that, I actually sit in it, and I'm like, okay, why do I feel like this? And I allow myself to feel it, and then it leaves, and I'm like, okay, that wasn't so bad. So
Most definitely. And it's, what do they say? They say ignorance is bliss, you know. And I just had a talk with my mentor. Actually, I talked to him last night. Called me, talked to him for like 2 hours, and we just reflect and talk about life. And it's like the more intelligence you gain, the more stuff you know. It's almost, I wouldn't say agony or pain, but ignorance is bliss, and the further you get away from ignorance, the more he said, I think one of the things he said is some of the smartest people in the world are unhappy,
Mhm.
because you're learning more and more. And I noticed for myself, you know I've been doing a lot of isolation, you know what I mean? And in that isolation, I've been getting a lot of stuff done and making stuff happen. And it's because, when you're able to self-reflect and dissect yourself, you start to see other people and see what's going on with them, you know, and what hurdles they have and what problems they're facing and this and that. And it's like, if you could try to talk to people, but no one really wants to get a pep talk or a lecture or whatever. And it's like it causes friction. So it's almost like you have to just kind of isolate yourself from certain people because they're doing whatever and they don't really want to hear outside opinion or perspective. And so it gets lonely.
It definitely does. I mean, I can count on one hand, people that I actually interact with or talk to, not even on a daily basis. I definitely isolate myself too. And the reason for that is because I have a really hard time trusting people, especially like growing as fast as I have and being as successful as I have. People tend to use me for what I have, and like they see, that I have money, or they see that I'm successful, and they're like, "Ooh, how can I get a piece of that?" And so with that, I started isolating myself because I was tired of just being used. And I can count on one hand like the people that I can actually count on.
Hmm.
And um, like you were saying, like you start realizing, last time I went out, I saw a bunch of people that I haven't seen since like high school. And just looking at them, I'm like, wow, like what is going on here? Why are you so different than me? And like you were saying, it's just like the more intelligent you get, the more you learn, the more you pay attention, the more you have a desire to grow. You start realizing other people's habits, and you start realizing how toxic they are. And like you're so afraid of them hindering your success that you don't want to be caught up in it. So you kind of just remove yourself and see if they notice. And when they don't, you're like, okay, cool. And you keep going and it doesn't bother you.
Yeah, it took me some real falling back and just focusing and locking in. And it's just and it's a shame. You want to be everywhere and be there for everybody, but sometimes you just gotta kind of fall back and focus and think of your, I mean, if you look at a lot of the great people that have done great things, like one of the books by Robert Greene I looked at, was the Book of Mastery. And it's a super long book. I don't know if you've ever heard of it or checked it out, but it's a super long book. But now that I'm reflecting on it, talking to you, a lot of these people that broke out and did great things, they had to kind of go through, periods of isolation.
Hmm.
They had to invent something to do this. To I mean, all kinds of different people that did things, they went through periods of isolation. And I feel like you need that. It's almost like training. You go train and you come back. And so to get some of this stuff done, and it's an amazing journey. And I'm not trying to be like I'm better or a recluse or whatever, but it takes you know isolation.
I agree. And I think the reason most people come back, better than ever, so to speak, we've all heard like, disappear for 6 months, come back better type of a thing. And like that book talks about. But I think the reason for that is because it makes you kind of break that mental barrier that you set for yourself. And it makes you overcome those challenges that weren't really challenges in the first place, right? Like once you're alone with yourself and once you kind of focus on your goals and figure out the stepping stones to make them happen, you come back with confidence because you're like, oh, actually, I can do this. And it's actually way easier than I thought it was going to be. And when you come back, you're like, oh, hey, look at how far, I've progressed. Look at all these steps I've taken. And then these other people are so afraid of missing out on, the next best thing or going out with their friends, or, they're so afraid to miss the next party or whatever it may be, that they're stuck in that toxic cycle of just repeating the same behaviors over and over again. When you have that personal mission of growing and developing and isolating yourself and coming back stronger than ever. It's really empowering, and it's really exciting. I feel like when you're able to break that mental barrier and you're like, okay, actually, I do believe in myself. I am confident I can do this, and let's make this happen. So,
Most definitely. So a model comes to you, never modeled before anything else. What is that? I know there has to be some struggle to that. What is that like?
it's actually easier than you think. So, 90% of the people I work with have never modeled before. I do have, my own values and my own morals. And it's kind of like an interview process, I'll say. So, if they've ever done OnlyFans, I won't work with them, period. I don't believe in that personally. Um, if they, uh, if they have a goal in mind when they come to me, then I'm more than happy to work with them. If they have no goal, no desire, they're just like, I kind of want to try it, then I won't work with them because it's a waste of my time and it's a waste of their time. Typically, what happens is they hear about me from a friend or from an agency, a scout, or they just found me online, and they ask me, how can I make this happen? What's the process? And I'll schedule a coffee with them. I'll sit down face to face wherever they're at. I'll fly to them, and we'll just have a conversation. And I'll get to know them as a person. I won't ask them any modeling questions or anything. I'll just get to know them as a person, because you can tell a lot about someone just from having a conversation with them. If they're ambitious, if they have goals, if they have dreams, or if they're just like, I'm just kind of doing it because it'll make me look cool on Facebook, like. So if I sit with them and I have a good feeling about them after the hour, or however long, then I'm like, okay, let's see where we can take this. And typically what happens from there is I will do headshots for them. I'll help them build their online portfolio. I'll get them, signed up with a couple of different agencies online just to get their presence out there. And then I personally schedule all the photo shoots for them, and I'm at every photo shoot. And so, like, we'll do a whole bunch of different themes just to kind of get them out there, get them, uncomfortable with themselves, and make them more appeasable when they do go to an agency or a casting director, showing them that they do have a lot of different themes that they can do. They can change their persona. They're not just like one image and that's it. Because casting directors want you to be able to step into a role and play that role, so to speak. And so I'll do all that for them. And then I do, runway coaching. I do a lot of bodybuilder coaching for like bikini models and stuff like that. I do a lot of pageant coaching for pageant girls. And so we'll do a walking practice, we'll do posing practice, we'll do different lighting techniques, we'll do wardrobe, all of that stuff goes into it. And so it's a year-long course. And then at the end of the year, I put them through like a final test, so to speak. And then after that, I put them in front of different agencies, different, casting directors, different talent scouts. And when they get picked up by an agency, then I take a payment from them. I don't take any money up front from them or anything like that, because I want to show them I believe in them and I want to help them make their dream come true. And then once they get like the door opens for them, then we move forward and they decide if they're going to hire me full term or if they just want to go their own separate way after that.
Wow. That's amazing. I mean, it's a whole different world, to be in. But, the arts in general, from music to, painting to modeling. I mean, it's a whole thing, and people attack it so many different ways.
Yeah, they definitely do.
People attack it so many different ways. I mean, as I know, for me as an artist, like, I have to take pictures in a sense, and a little bit of modeling and doing this and doing that and promoting myself. But, not as much as, like a full-time model that's just what they do. I can't even imagine, that's a whole different world.
It's exhausting. It's absolutely exhausting. I really have to watch my diet. I really have to watch, changing my image too much. Like, I've been a brunette my entire life just because that's how, all my casting directors have known me. That's what all my portfolios say. Anytime you change your hair, you get a new tattoo, like anytime you change anything, you have to take whole new headshots. You have to take everything and update your profiles every time. Like, there's a lot that goes into it. Plus maintaining like a healthy diet. I go to the gym every single day. I'm a very routine, structured person. With that being said, I do like to live spontaneously sometimes here and there and go do wild things, but I always have to keep in the back of my mind, like, if I have a runway coming up, I'm not going to go for a hike because, what if I fall and something happens? And, like there's a lot that goes into it. Just like you being an artist, right? Like if you know you have a show coming up, you're probably not going to go to a football game and go scream a bunch, right? Like you want to make sure your voice is maintained and you're like drinking tea or whatever you do before, to prep yourself before your show. So yeah, there's definitely a lot that goes into it that people don't realize.
No, most definitely. There's, preparation and, doing this, doing that, and sleep and, hydrate, there's stuff and not only that, let's flip it to a different way. I record music and do a lot of songs, but there's a process, to that. As you grow and mature as an artist, there's a process of having certain things you like, getting yourself in the right headspace to create. When you're first starting out, you don't really think about that now. But now that you're maturing and catering yourself, you have to tend to yourself and get yourself in the right headspace to create, whether that's going on an adventure, whether it's this isolation, your own forms of meditation, whatever you got to do, you got to get yourself in that space to get the best results.
Yep. I can tell you for a fact, before every photo shoot, runway, anything, I go to the gym and then I go sit in the hot tub and listen to like my motivational podcast. I have one podcast every single time that I listen to that just gets me hyped and gets me in the zone. And then I do my event, and I always have like music on in the background or something to kind of help distract me. I used to take a shot before every like fashion show or something just to ease my nerves. Obviously I don't drink anymore, like I said earlier. So now I don't do that, but yeah, we all have our own like routine. We all have our own ritual that we do, whatever that may be. But every single artist, whatever type of artist, always has their own ritual that they do before an event.
Most definitely. If you had your ultimate modeling, I guess your ultimate modeling feat, what would that be? Like, what was your ultimate dream with the modeling? Like Super Bowl, like what is your ultimate dream with it?
So my HAG goal, which is a huge ass goal, and I actually have it on my vision board right here, is to have a brick and mortar building. So a building that I designed, built from the ground up, that has like its own filming studio in it, that has its own, catwalk in it, that has its own different rooms for photo shoots, things like that. Multi-tier employees working underneath me. I already have 6 assistants right now assisting me with different things. I run a couple different businesses, so I need help everywhere I can get it. But just having that, presence established, and then also being able to do a lot of different work for different charities, being able to help out in different organizations, and being able to host a facility where models feel comfortable coming and asking for help, because it takes a lot to put your pride aside and ask for help, especially as a model, because you want to show up as your best self. It's a very cutthroat industry. But I will tell you, I'm the first person. If you come to me, it doesn't even matter if we dated and we had like bad blood. If you call me tonight, like at 1 a.m. and say, hey, I really need your help, like I'm there. And so I've always wanted to be able to share that kindness in my modeling industry too, and just be able to show people like you can have a nice heart and still do this. But my huge goal would be have a brick and mortar, a bunch of different rooms, a bunch of different stages, and then be able to just have that legacy, be able to have that foundation that other people can, relate on, and other people can just believe in and be themselves in.
Most definitely. I mean, I think you could do it. I mean, it's, acquiring the space and, doing it. I've heard of, people talking about, building film studios and different stuff here, in Southern Oregon. So, I mean, I feel like that's a very attainable goal. I mean, and I believe anybody can do what they want, but I feel like, that's an attainable goal. It's really just about acquiring the property.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's going to happen in 5 years. I'm going to make a difference. You just watch.
Hey, I'm rooting for you. I feel like you could make it happen. Is there any last things you want to give a shout out to before we wrap it up? Because I can talk to you all night.
I think really just the biggest thing I want to say is, just believe in yourself. It doesn't matter, what dream you have in your heart. It doesn't matter what you think your purpose is. It doesn't matter if you have a whole support system behind you or not. Just always believe in yourself. Because I can tell you right now, the little girl I used to be, going in and out of foster care, not having parents that gave a crap about her, You know, I even went to jail. I was in an abusive relationship. I spent 6 months in jail. Um, Coming from that to who I am today, anything is possible if you just believe in yourself. And so, no matter what you're going through, no matter what, challenges you have ahead of you, just always believe in yourself and always have confidence no matter what you're doing.
Much love. I appreciate it. And I appreciate you coming on. We'll have to touch bases soon. It sounds like we neighbors and yeah, have to touch bases soon and butt heads and come up with an idea or something.
Absolutely. Let's make it happen.
All right. You take care and I appreciate you coming on.
Absolutely. Have a good night.
You too. Bye bye.